welcome back to today's class. In today's class, we will be moving on to the second question of this chapter, that is exercise 8.1. Okay, so in our last class, we have already started the first question, and those who have not watched the last video, please go through it. Okay, so now we can move on to the second question. So let's start the second question. Okay, so our second question is, write additive inverse of each of the following question. Okay, so we have to write the additive inverse, and some numbers are given here. 2 by 8, then minus 5 by 9, minus 6 by minus 5, 2 by minus 9 and 19 by minus 6. Okay, so let's find the additive inverse of each of the following numbers. Okay, so one by one we will take each example and find the additive inverse of these questions. So I will start with the first question. First example is 2 by 8. Now I have been asked to find the additive inverse of this number. Okay, so before starting, first tell me what is actually mean by additive inverse. See, we have studied in our last class, right? So what is additive inverse? That is a plus minus a equal to 0, right? This is the additive inverse. That means when we add two numbers, we have to give the sum as 0. Oh, the sum should be 0. So I should add 2 by 8 with a particular number so that I should get the sum as 0. That is my question. Okay. So what should be added to 2 by 8 in order to get the sum as 0? Obviously minus 2 by 8. Right. So 2 by 8 plus minus 2 by 8 means what? 2 by 8 minus 2 by 8, right? So 2 by 8 minus 2 by 8 means 0, right? So we can say that the additive inverse of 2 by 8 is minus 2 by 8. Okay, that means if a positive number is given to you, then the additive inverse of that number will be the negative number. Okay, that is, if plus 2 by 8 is given here, then your additive inverse will be minus 2 by 8. Suppose your question given is minus 2 by 8 and you have been asked to find the additive inverse of this number. Okay, then your answer will be plus 2 by 8. Okay, that is the sign changes in the case of additive inverse. Okay, that means when we add this two number, you have to check whether you are getting 0 as the result. Okay, that is the meaning of additive inverse. Okay, suppose a number is given to you 4. A 4 is given your question. Then what will be the additive inverse of 4? Minus 4. Right. So additive inverse of 4 means minus 4. Just the sign changes. That is the meaning. So everyone understood what is additive inverse and how you can find the additive inverse? Okay. Now we can move on to the second example. Okay. Our second example is minus 5 by 9. Okay. Now we have to find the additive inverse of this number. So same way, you can see that you are given a negative number here, right? You have got a minus sign here. So obviously, your answer should be plus sign, right? So how I can write this? Additive inverse means plus, okay, 5 by 9. Okay, or simply you can write what? 5 by 9. Okay, because if I write 5 by 9, the meaning is plus 5 by 9. Why? Because here you have been given a negative number. So the additive inverse of a negative number will be always a positive number, right? That means if we add this two number, that is minus 5 by 9 plus 5 by 9 equal to 0, right? When we add these two numbers, we will get the answer as 0, right? So we can see that minus 5 by 9 will be having additive inverse plus 5 by 9. Understood? That is, if a negative number is given to you, the additive inverse of a negative number will be positive number, and if a positive number is given to you, the additive inverse of the positive number will be a negative number. Okay, now we can move on to our third example. All of you listen here. Our third question is minus 6 by minus 5. See here, you can see minus in both the numerator and denominator here, right? In our last question, we were having only one negative sign, but here we are having negative sign both in numerator and in denominator. So usually what you do, you will write, okay, both is having negative number. So Our answer is plus 6 by plus 5. Okay, in this way you will directly write the answer, right? But this is wrong. Okay, you should not take this number like this and you should not write your answer like this. This is completely wrong. Okay, so don't do like this. What you have to do here is that you can see that if you are having negative sign in both numerator and denominator, then you can cancel those negative sign. Okay, that means I can cancel this. Okay, because both numerator and both denominator is having negative sign. Okay, so I can cancel that both negative sign. So finally your question will become 6 by 5. Okay, so this is your question. Understood? Okay, so this is your question because we have cancelled the sign in both numerator and denominator. Suppose if only numerator is having negative sign, then you have to consider that sign. Okay, or else if your denominator is having only negative sign, then you have to consider it. But if negative sign is in both numerator and in denominator, then you can cancel that. Okay, now your question is this, that is plus 6 by 5. So obviously this is a positive number. So what will be the negative inverse of this number? Yeah, negative inverse of this is minus 6 by 5. That is the negative number, right? Okay, so understood? First you have to check your question properly. Okay, then only write the answer. Here I have cancelled both the sign. Then I have got the question like this. 6 by 5 is my question. So the negative inverse of this number will be minus 6 by 5. Understood? Hope everyone has understood this. Right? Okay, now we can move on to our next example. Next question is 2 by minus 9. So how I can write this 2 by minus 9? That is, here you can see that negative sign is in the denominator, right? So don't get confused. Okay, negative sign is in the denominator. So how we will write then this additive inverse and all. So don't get confused. You can write this question directly as minus 2 by 9. Okay, that is, if the negative sign is in the numerator or denominator, no problem. You can write directly like this. Understood? Okay, now you can see that it is a negative number, right? So obviously your additive inverse will be a positive number. Okay, so what is the additive inverse of this? 2 by 9. Understood? So if a negative sign is in the denominator, you can write it directly your question like this. Okay, then you can find the additive inverse of this number. Okay, now our last example of this second question is 19 by minus 6. So here also you can see that negative sign is in the denominator, right? So as I have told you earlier, what you can do here, you can write the question as minus 19 by 6. Same meaning only. Okay, if you write the negative in the numerator or denominator part, it doesn't matter. Okay, now you can see that this is a negative number. Okay, now what will be the additive inverse of this? Obviously additive inverse of this will be plus 19 by 6. Because when we add this two number, we will get the sum as 0. Okay, so additive number of this negative minus 19 by 6 will be plus 19 by 6. Okay, so hope everyone has understood what is additive inverse and how you can find the additive inverse of a number given to you. Okay, that is whether it is a positive number, whether it is a negative number or whatever it is, you can find the additive inverse by using this logic. Okay, so hope everyone has understood today's class about additive inverse. Okay, so we have just solved the question number 2 of exercise 8.1. So in our next class, we will be doing the third question of this chapter. So we can see very soon in our next class.